Hi, welcome back to class. In today's class, we're going to learn the technique of stitching a set-in seam. Now, a set-in seam is a seam that you must pivot in order to complete. It is also called a Y seam, and you can see why that is, because it is in the shape of a Y. It's a little bit more of a complicated seam, but I'm going to show you how to do it and you'll do just fine. So now, just like before, we're going to cut a strip, only this strip is going to be 6 inches wide. Let me show you. All right, now, here I have the selvage and I have our fold. I folded it over again, and I've lined this up along the grid on the bottom, and I'm going to line it up along the side, but as you'll notice, most of your fabrics are not cut off the bolt straight, so I need to square it up. So I'm going to just slice a real thin piece off the side just to make this nice and even. I've sliced right along that line, and now my piece is completely squared on the corners. Now I'm going to move over 6 inches and I'm going to cut again. 1, 2. Now I'm lined up with my grid across the bottom, across the side, and my ruler is lined up here and down here. Okay, now we're going to cut blocks off of our strip. Line up your selvage and we're going to cut it off, just like we did before. And then we're going to start cutting blocks off. Okay, another thing you can do to help you along is to put some tape down to show you where 6 inches is. Now I don't totally follow that, that just gives me a reference. I still follow the lines on my mat. Now normally you would just move the ruler down, but since I've given myself a reference, I'm going to go ahead and move the material. Alright, now that you've finished your background blocks, we're going to go to our bow tie material, and we're going to cut 6 blocks this time using the same technique. All right, now that we have our squares cut out, we're going to lay them in front of us just like this. Okay, we're going to lay our squares out just like this. Now, the third of our bow tie square, we're going to take and we're going to fold in half, just like this. Now follow me very carefully. This is a simple block, but you have to do it just right. We're going to lay it right here, just like this, fold here, the opening here, and we're going to take this square and we're going to lay it on top of it, just like this. Now we're going to pin this in place and we're going to straight stitch right along this edge at 1/4 of an inch. Let's do that now. All right, now that I've stitched that seam, I'm going to set it and press it to the dark side. I'm going to flip it over now and press the front. And here we have our flap. All right, now here's our piece. Now I've got color on this side, so I'm going to put white on this side this time. And I've got white on this side, so I'm going to put color on this side. So now what I'm doing, I'm sandwiching that again, and I'm going to pin it in place, and I'm going to straight stitch right along this at 1/4 of an inch. All right, starting in needle down position, locking that stitch. Okay, again we're going to set the seam and press toward the dark side. All right, now at this point we're going to open up this center piece just like this, opening it up. We're going to open up our blocks just like this. Let me show you what we have. We're going to take these center seams right here, and we're going to line them up. We're going to press them together with our fingers just like this. Wiggle our fingers back and forth. You feel that seam lock in place. We're going to take our pin and we're going to pin it there. So at this point we're going to take our sides, put our finger down in here to make sure we don't get anything that we don't want in the seam. Just like this, we're going to lay it here and sandwich it just like this and pin it. We're going to come over here, we're going to do the same thing. Now we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew all the way across at 1/4 inch seam allowance through our intersection, catching our pieces right here and right here to create our 3-dimensional block. Okay, now we're going to set the seam. And we're going to press it open. Now our other side. And there we have it, our 3-dimensional bow tie.